Did you actually hear that Kesha re-released the song TikTok to change the beginning to say "Wake up in the morning saying fuck P Diddy"?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she changed the.
Hey guys, this is Elijah Vargas from the Gold Soul Podcast. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is James Gambon. I am a junior this year at Creighton University. I'm from Springfield, Missouri. Happy to be here.
So how has it been RAing this semester? I know that you've been RAing the start of this semester, so how's that been going?
It's been going really well. For those that don't know, an RA is a resident advisor. They're the people on floors in the dormitories, pretty much at every university in the United States. They usually guide the residents, help them academically, socially, make sure they're not doing anything that they're supposed to be. RAing has gone pretty well for me. I know all of my residents pretty well, and being in Greek life has really helped with me too. Help them to know that I'm not going to be a hard ass on them or do anything to them that, would be rude or overbearing to them. Getting to know them all has been really well, and they've been really open with me. A lot of them have come with problems that I've had solutions to, and a lot of them have asked for help on things that are outside of the scope of my job, but nonetheless, I'm happy to be there for them.
That's pretty dope, dude. So what made you decide to become an RA?
There were a lot of factors driving me to be an RA. The main one, as weird as it sounds, is you get free room, free board, free meal plan, which is really drawing to it. But also, again, from the fraternity standpoint, I'm a part of Delta Chi. Getting to know younger people is great for recruitment. It's great to meet new people and help them get to know the fraternity better in case they want to come out for Rush. And also just the prospect of being there for younger students, being able to share my experiences and guide them along the way is really nice to me.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. So you get what? You said free room, free board.
And a free meal plan as well.
Free meal plan? Damn, dude. That does sound nice.
Yeah, $3,000 dining dollars to spend wherever I want goes pretty hard.
So you just pay for books?
Yeah, I pay for books and I pay for the tuition that my scholarships don't cover.
And parking?
Yeah, I did have to get parking as well, which was really annoying. But yeah, parking at Creighton isn't the best at all. But
yeah,
after
from what I've heard, I haven't brought my car to campus yet, so.
Yeah, I applied for a parking permit at the beginning of July, and I still didn't get a spot in the garage. So, note to anyone listening, if you want to get a spot in the garage, you need to apply more than a month and a half in advance to get one.
That sucks. It's weird because I go into the garage because my roommate brought his car and my friend brought his car, and it still seems like there's plenty of empty spaces. It's surprising that you're saying that you couldn't get one.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's awful about it is they'll sell those permits to everyone who wants a quote-unquote garage permit, but not everyone always parks in the garage. Some of them are people who come from off campus who are commuters, and they just really want to guarantee themselves a parking spot, so they get the garage, and they won't overflow the garages, which makes sense because if everybody has a garage permit and then there's no spots in the garage, why did you spend that much money to get in there in the first place?
Yeah. So I want to ask, what other things, or what type of things are you looking forward to regarding RAing this year?
We have a lot of what are known as active and passive programs that I've put together. Active programs are things that you actively put on for your residents, whether it be going to a volleyball game or a basketball game. Maybe you invite the Success Center or Public Safety to come and give a little talk about what they do so they get to know them a little better. But it's more of a gathering where you can have food, drinks, and have people mingle. Passive events are more so things that they can do passively. Maybe you send out a little questionnaire about how everyone's doing, a little mental health checkup, or a program that I'm doing for midterms is I'm making personalized goodie bags for all of my residents. I sent out a survey to them recently asking about their favorite sodas and favorite candies and chips. So by the time that midterms rolls around, I can put little gift bags out for them. And
that's awesome, dude.
They can have a little something to snack on while they study.
Damn, I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
So now that we're through talking about you being an RA, I kind of want to get into your background so people could get to know who you are and where you came from and why you chose Creighton. So where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Springfield, Missouri. I lived there the first 18 years of my life, and then I moved here to Omaha, Nebraska when I came to Creighton.
So how how would you describe like your childhood?
My childhood felt very sheltered. I won't lie. I had parents who were very protective of me. And looking back, I was really thankful to kind of have that experience.
Yeah.
But I had to find a lot of experiences on my own. The first parties that I went to in high school were on my own volition without my parents knowing. The first time I ever drank, I made sure my parents never knew about it, or things like that. I'd have to sneak out a lot. And they were always very, comforting and very much there for me. Always showed up to my cross country races and my track meets. Always showed out for whenever I had choir recitals and stuff. But they were very by the book parents. And for that, I'm thankful that I was able to create my own experiences and have good memories. But I'm also thankful that I never got myself into any level of trouble that would either A, let them know about it, or B, get myself hurt and have them find out about it.
Oh yeah, I get that. That's crazy. Yeah, I never really partied that much in high school, to be honest. I think the only parties I went to were like the school ones, like the homecoming and the prom and stuff like that. And then my friends would have like Halloween parties and stuff I'd pull up to, but my friends didn't really get too rowdy. I'd have to say.
And that's okay.
It was just like with the cross country team,
Yeah. Hey, whatever works for people whenever they want to party, whatever they want to do, whether that means board game night or getting wasted, as long as people are being safe and having fun, it really makes no difference to me.
Oh yeah. For us, I think we, like, for our Halloween parties, we just watch like a scary movie and then just eat like a ton of pasta, like a pasta party.
Oh yeah.
And
see, for cross country, that goes crazy too.
Yeah. I miss those like pasta parties in cross country. They were so much fun.
Yeah, I will say there was definitely a tightness in high school that I don't think exists in college, which is both nice because you get a lot more freedom than just the friend group you're confined to in high school. But at the same time, it's much harder to make that level of contact or friendship with other people, especially when people are so busy with school and other clubs and whatever they're doing.
True. Yeah. There's a lot of my friends from last year that like I don't really see as often as I don't see them that often this year. And it kind of sucks because like I miss them, but like our schedules don't line up or they have clubs and stuff, and I can't really like get to hang out with them that much except for the weekends. Yeah,
definitely. I would say proximity is a huge thing. The people that I was like best friends with on Degelman floor 5 my freshman year are either A, now my fraternity brothers, or B, I don't talk to them at all. And that's not because we aren't friends. It's not because we don't, like each other. It's just that we don't have any classes together. Our majors are completely different, and I just never see them because they live off campus now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another aspect I didn't even realize.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hate to tell you, but it only gets worse whenever junior year hits because a lot of friends move off campus, and then everyone is a drive away. So.
Yeah. Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, Kyoji, he moved off, or he lives in town anyway, but it's still like whenever we want to hang out with him, we gotta be like, hey bro, do you want to pull up? Like, do you want to get dinner and stuff like that? And I don't know, it's cool to have him like that, but like I just wish he was living on campus. Like,
yeah, there's definitely something to be said about being able to just hang out with people for the reason of hanging out. Whenever you get into like kind of that like you have to drive to see someone relationship, there has to be a reason. Like maybe you're gonna watch a sports game, or maybe you're gonna go out to dinner, or maybe you're gonna go hit the bars or something. But that's one part of dorm life that I think a lot of people underestimate is you can pull up to people's dorms just for the sake of being there, and it's widely accepted.
That's what I like. That's what I missed about last year. I mean, I hope we can still get something like that this year, but it's just
And the worst part about it too is it usually takes till like either end of first semester or start of second semester to really develop those friendships, and then you spend the time wondering why in August, September, October you weren't already doing it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So I want to keep talking about like your childhood and whatever. So like what kind of things were you interested in when you were younger?
Yeah, so I took an interest to running pretty young. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I was already running in 5Ks with like my mom and dad.
9 or 10?
9 and 10, yeah. Like 4th and 5th grade. My dad was a huge gym goer. My mom was a huge cardio fan. They were both really into fitness. They were both very fit whenever they were in high school and college. And obviously adulthood, makes it a much harder with, your metabolism slowing and, work takes over your life at some points. But they've definitely dedicated themselves a lot more to fitness, and they made sure that me and my brother did the same.
Yeah, that's really good. I think my dad's also pretty similar. Like he works at like a fitness a company that sells fitness equipment.
Oh, really?
So he's always been into like lifting weights and doing all type of stuff. Now he's been into martial arts because me and my brother started doing that when we were younger. So he started doing that, and now he's really into that. My mom has always been she's always been like into exercise and stuff. She's always been healthy, which is pretty good because me and my brother, like, we were basically like raised athletes, like.
And there's something to be said about that too. I think a lot of people have a negative connotation of parents that quote unquote force sports onto their kids, and of course I don't endorse that whatsoever, but there is something to be said for growing up in an athletic household and understanding the importance of staying healthy, because it really does set you up for the rest of your life.
It definitely does. It gives you like the right mindset to like to just be healthy, stay active, and like not become unhealthy.
Exactly.
I mean? Yeah, you have like the right start to it.
Because once you're in that mindset,
the foundation, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's once you have that set in your head, like the only thing you have left to do is put it into action.
Yeah.
A lot of people I think are afraid of taking that first step because they've grown so used to eating very unhealthy, drinking sugary sodas, eating pizza and burgers and whatnot, pretty much for every meal. And cutting that part is a lot harder than picking up the gym per se. And both things have to be done if you're going to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I've seen so many people just like either give up the gym, or I love seeing people pick up the gym. Because I love seeing like there's like I've seen so many stories of like people that started going to the gym and they were like fat or whatever, and then they come out being like super lean, like thin.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that like thin is necessarily good. I'm just saying that like they just come out looking like really good.
Exactly. And I think those journeys need to be, put into the spotlight. I mean, one thing that I've always held like really true in my life is I will never, ever make fun of an obese person at the gym, because I know for a fact that they are there because they understand that, obesity is a huge issue. And if they want to live a have a long life, they need to be there. They need to do something about it. And the fact that they are doing something about it means a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's like the people. I've seen people at the gym make fun of like fat people in the gym, but it's like when I see them, I like picture what they're gonna become, and it's like something that it's just so cool to me.
Yeah, and I think, most people try to like emphasize their stories in a way that is very empowering. Yeah. But I think there's also something to be said about the people who are haters of fat people in the gym. For example, just recently we saw NIKOCADO.
Oh yeah.
And he did a really good job, I think, of clapping back at people who hate on fat people, on people who think that they can't change. Spending 2 years pre-recording videos only to lose all that weight was absolutely insane.
He was like in the 300s, right? Or something?
Yeah, he was. He put on over 250 pounds and then in 2 years proceeded to lose it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 125 pounds a year is something else, but that's not something I don't even think I could do. I definitely think losing 250 pounds would take me more than 2 years, but
if you can lose that much weight, it's like you can do anything now.
Exactly. The way that your mind is built over your body and the fact that you can control it to do such amazing things really shows your resilience, it shows your fortitude, and it shows your ability to create meaningful change.
Yeah. What do you think about queso?
I think queso is a different story. I think that he uses it to his advantage to be fat. But he also has a very positive and uplifting community that carries him through it. I don't know if you ever saw this, but he was on a podcast with Jinxie. Yeah. And Jinxie was asking him if he ever feels self-conscious about his weight. And he said, I do sometimes. I wonder if I should lose my weight. But he also said that if people get a laugh out of making a joke at the expense of me, I would rather make people happy than give them a reason to, hate on me again.
Yeah, I like that he never takes it like personally, like
Exactly.
because a lot of people in his position would be like, man, like I'm never gonna record again, like like f all of this, but like he still wants to be there. He still wants to like make his fans happy.
Exactly.
And it's not like he's not good. It doesn't seem like he's going through like a depression or anything.
Exactly.
Like, it's awesome.
And he doesn't use his fat as like a defiance.
Yeah.
If you look at what NIKOCADO was doing,
Oh,
he was definitely using it as like, I'm fat and you can't stop me.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Yeah.
Queso is really good at laughing at himself.
Yeah.
And you'll see he'll post TikToks or Instagram clips of him like blind ranking foods. And he talks about how he wants to put them all at one. And deep down, I guarantee you, he doesn't actually mean that. But I think he's sort of buying into the idea that people are going to laugh about it and find it funny. And I think it's noble of him to say that, if people are going to get a laugh at the expense of me, then so be it.
I definitely agree. I don't know. There's something to be said about, like, and I don't know if this is, like, a crazy thing to say, but, like, normally people that are, like, I don't want to say fat, but, like, bigger have some of the best senses of humor.
Absolutely. And I think that's partially because, their body becomes a point of infraction for them, that people make fun of them for that. And I think those people are just naturally better at taking it because they take it based on the way they look. And I would agree. There are some comedians that I've seen, unfortunately he's deceased now, but John Pinette, I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I was thinking like Coco Diaz, like Fluffy.
Yeah. No, they're really great people, and they make jokes about the food they eat and what they do, and people can get behind that. It's something that people can really understand. And it breaks sort of down the barrier between people who are obese and people who are not. Being able to have that understanding brings a level of connection to the communities through humor.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if it's like they just seem more friendly as opposed to like if there's like a big buff guy on stage trying to do stand-up, it's kind of like you feel a disconnect because you're not as... Most Americans aren't as big as that person. You know what I mean?
And they never will be.
Yeah.
It's a very intimidating presence.
It's intimidating. You want somebody up there that's like more relatable or like welcoming. Exactly.
And I think, like I said, that level of vulnerability is really important because not only are they vulnerable because they're attempting to make you laugh, but they're vulnerable because they understand that their body by society standards is not what it should be. Yeah.
Like even Shane Gillis, I think is hilarious.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's one of my favorite comedians right now with like Theo Vaughn, but Theo Vaughn, I heard Andrew Santino?
I do, yeah.
He's gonna be in town like in 2 weeks, I think.
That would be awesome to go see.
October 4th. I was thinking about going because it's pretty close by and it's like.
See, that would...
I've never seen stand-up comedy in person, but I've heard it's so much better than just like watching a video.
Oh, it is. The electricity from the crowd is, unbelievable. It is something that you really do have to see to believe. Yeah. And for some reason, I can't even explain because I've been to a couple stand-up comedy shows. You start finding jokes that generally like would make you like just chuckle or like gasp at. You find them funnier because everybody else is laughing and having a good time, and just by proxy you start having a good time regardless of if you think it's funny or not because everybody around you is having so much fun.
That's awesome though. I feel like comedians have their job is so hard, but like what they're able to do is so amazing.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think there's any other job that people have that like invokes a reaction out of you, and that's like their job is to get you to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And in a world that is so depressing, we hear every day about shootings and murders and robberies and with the political, discourse that's going on in the nation right now.
The political and economic state of the world right now.
It's really horrible, both here in the U.S. and all around the world.
Yeah.
So being able to just provide a laugh to people, I think, is what a lot of those comedians are trying to do. And a lot of the ones that are bigger, the way that they look at it is, even if I have to provide a laugh at the expense of my own, dignity, I'm willing to do it, because in the end, it's going to create a lot more joy if I just tell a joke about myself that everyone can relate to.
Yeah. I love it. I love comedy. Like, I feel like comedy podcasts as a whole are on the rise, and I love every single one of them.
I was about to say, I haven't seen a bad one yet.
Yeah. Honestly, actually, there's probably a few.
There are a few that probably are worse than others, but honestly, in the way that I look at it is, if someone's really putting their heart into it and they're not talking about anything insanely political or insanely, full of discourse, it's something that I can laugh at.
Oh yeah, for sure. I like Bad Friends is definitely up there. Bad Friends.
I'm familiar.
Bobby Lee is so funny. I think, have you seen This Past Weekend?
I haven't.
That's the one with Theo Vaughn, and he's always funny because he'll get on like Drewski or somebody else, and whenever he has Drewski on, it's like those two are such a funny combo.
They just bounce off each other.
Yeah, they work so well together. It's like Santino and Bobby Lee. It's like those two are like I don't know how it happened, how those two met, but it's like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, they had to.
I was about to say, maybe God saw that the world needed that combination right now.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? Let it be done.
Yeah. It's like ketchup and mustard, peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Like, they have to be together. Otherwise,
exactly.
Like, I think on their own, they're funny, but like together,
they just bounce off of each other so
it's
well.
The best combo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the most recent one would probably be like the Talk to a podcast.
Oh, don't get me started on the Talk to a podcast.
I haven't listened to it, but I've been told to.
It is something for sure.
You've listened to it?
I've listened to only one episode,
really?
And it's a half interview style, half just complete chaos.
Okay.
The conversation usually devolves very quickly into memes and like recent events, but like dumbing it down to like 4th grade reading level. And I think that's just sort of the persona that the Hawktois girl wants to kind of communicate. But I'm still absolutely baffled that someone could become so famous off of one clip.
Honestly, like, I've been telling all my friends this. I'm low-key kind of happy for her, because she made the most. She is making the most out of her 15 minutes of fame.
Exactly.
If I ever had a clip blow up, I'm selling merch. I'm doing everything.
Yeah, take every.
She's doing it all. Like, it's crazy.
And the funniest part too is she refuses to start an OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's really funny of her, because after she said something, that is innately sexual.
Yeah.
All the, weird guys on the internet came around and said, make an OnlyFans, and she said, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. What I think is funny, I saw a clip of her saying that, like, out of, like, if she had to compare herself to, like, a cartoon character, she said Tow Mater, which is, like, so funny, because now looking at everything she said and like the way she says it, like her cadence and everything, she sounds like Tow Mater.
No, absolutely. As awful as this image is in my head, I 100% could imagine Mater just saying, "You just got a Hawktois on that thing."
Oh my God. Yeah, but yeah, now I see it, and it's like I can't unsee it now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to watch Cars again after hearing that.
Dang. So we went from talking about what you were doing when you were younger into like
the Hawks.
That was
podcast.
a fun spiral, though.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree.
That was fun. Okay, so let's like move into high school. Like,
yeah.
I want to ask, what interests did you have in high school? Like, what hobbies did you have, and like, what do you miss about high school?
My 3 main hobbies in high school were the clubs that I was in, or 2 sports, 1 club, which were cross country, track and field, and I was really big into speech and debate.
Oh, okay.
Speech and debate kids get a bad rap, and I do think that the vast majority of them are pretty weird. I would hope to.
It's fun.
I would definitely agree. My senior year, I made a pretty good run at nationals in
Nice.
debate. We were top 4 in the nation. We were in semifinals of nationals, but looking back to that, that was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. Being up on a national stage in front of thousands of people debating about water protection. And it was a topic that I was passionate about too, just because,
That's awesome.
I believe that water is, an innate human right.
Yeah.
And being able to discuss like what the nation can do in its best interests in order to protect water. Even if you lose the debate, you know that you stood up and you said the right things and you did your absolute best.
Yeah.
Track and field and cross country both went hand in hand. I was an 800, 1600 guy.
Me too.
Yeah, dude, hard races, man.
For sure.
I avoided the 3200 at all costs.
Heck no.
But I had to run it a couple times. But 8 laps around a track is just disgusting to me.
If you know, you know.
Oh yeah, it is horrendous. What was your fastest 800 split?
I want to say 2:14.
That's not bad at all. That's pretty fast.
Yeah. I
That'll
think that's what it was.
that'll get you in relays especially. That'll get you into some pretty good places.
Yeah.
My fastest split was in a 4x8, so I did get a running start, of course. But I ran a 2:03.
2:03s. Damn.
I was cooking.
Yeah.
I will say, whenever you run, a lot of people have never experienced this and probably never will, but there comes a point in competition where you sort of unlock that 7th gear.
Yeah.
And it's just the adrenaline
Facts.
and the blood is flowing, your
Yeah.
legs are pumping, and it's a gear that naturally you don't have access to. Your body just won't let you push that hard, but in that moment, when your body realizes that it is capable of greater things, you sort of unlock that 7th gear and you're able to shoot your body into an overdrive that you didn't know
Yeah.
was possible.
That's like in fighting, I think we call that like a flow state.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like you're moving in rhythm and like you see like the chin and you're like whacking at it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we call it like the flow state. But yeah, I'm running. I guess you would call that like a runner's high or something.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
like how you call it the 7th gear because that's like reminds me of like a bike
Mm-hmm.
or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of how you think about it as a car, is that a car
Yeah,
gear can
like a
only
car.
shift so high.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to shift it higher than 5 or 6 or whatever, but like I said, when you're running, your body eventually does give out.
Yeah.
But you unlock that sort of power that you have.
That extra level. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had that a few times, I think, in my races, especially like the shorter distances.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like sprinting and you feel like you're going as fast as you can,
Mhm.
and then like let's say your friend catches up to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just kick, and it's
Yeah.
like I thought I was sprinting, but now I'm sprinting.
Exactly. And just being able to do that. And I think that's what a lot of the top level athletes are capable of doing that people don't really realize, is whenever they're coming up the finish line of these 10-kilometer, 5-kilometer races, and they're only running, what would be a like 23, 24, 25
Yeah.
second 200 split, which by comparison to the 200 meters is slow. I mean, that's a gear after running, 9,000 meters that you wouldn't think possible. But yet you see these huge runners, Josh Kerr, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Cole Hawker. You see these guys with these massive kicks, and you just have to wonder where they came from. Sure, they're the best in their sport, and obviously they're trained to do that, but it's truly witnessing greatness that previously, wasn't thought possible.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like the other thing I was thinking about that like it just popped up into my head is like I know we're talking about running,
Mhm.
but have you heard of like Eddie Hall's his deadlift?
I
That, like
haven't.
he lift. Oh, I wanna look it up. What was Eddie Hall's deadlift record? He lifted 1,102 pounds.
Oh my God.
And what he did to do that was, I guess, there were like doctors that were telling him that no human could possibly lift that much weight,
Mhm.
right? And so they were like, But there's a story of a mom that her car like crashed, and like the car crashed, and I guess her kid was in the back seat, and like the car like landed on the kid, and so the mom had to lift the car off of the kid, and it was like pure adrenaline.
Exactly.
And she like unlocked like that extra. I don't know what it was, but when the doctor like told him that, he's like, okay, so I need to enter that state of mind while I'm lifting.
Absolutely.
There's no I can't lift it. There's only I have to lift it. And so when he went to pick it up, he said that he imagined that his kids were stuck under a car and he had to pick it up.
That's
and dude,
insane.
When he picked it up, his nose started bleeding. He literally, like, I think he had to go to like the hospital after. But
I can imagine that.
That's like one of my favorite stories because it's so unreal. Like, how is he able to do what the doctor said is impossible?
Absolutely. I think it shows how powerful the human mind is.
Yeah. It's willpower.
Exactly. We underestimate ourselves so much in our day-to-day lives that I can't run this distance. I can't lift this weight. I can't pass this test. I can't get through this class. But when you really put your mind to it, and I mean really put your mind to it, not just say you're going to do it, but force yourself to do it, to tell yourself that it has to be done, I think that humans are truly capable of some of the greatest things that, the world has ever seen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, like, I want to see more of it, honestly. Like, I'm pretty sure it's definitely out there. I just haven't seen it, but, like, I want to be educated on this. I feel like this is a really interesting topic.
Oh, I completely agree. The neuroscience behind this has to be, like, invigorating.
The neuroscience, or I just want to see, like, videos of, like, how you're explaining, like, sprinters kicking that extra 7th gear. Or, like, more videos of, like, weightlifters just doing impossible things, or people entering the flow state and fighting and stuff like that. I think that's like really freaking cool.
I mean, imagine getting an interview with Noah Lyles and asking him, how do you find that 7th gear? What do you tell yourself, and how do you envision your victory in a way that allows it to manifest?
Yeah. That's so freaking cool, though. That's so cool. So do you want to keep talking about, like, high school and running and stuff, or do you want to just go into, like, talking about Creighton, like why you chose Creighton and stuff like that?
I think those things are linked pretty well, actually, so I'll finish talking about high school, and then it leads directly into Creighton.
Perfect.
So my senior year of high school, I did really, really well in cross country, and we did really well in track, and I spent so much time focused on sports that I think I had applied to maybe 2 or 3 colleges. And come January, starting of track, I applied to about 12 different places, and Creighton was one of them. Creighton going in was like my number 2 or number 3 school. I was pretty dead set on it, and my top school was Notre Dame. Notre Dame had scouted me for running, and unfortunately that didn't come to fruition, but looking back, I think them not continuing to scout me was the greatest thing that ever happened. Because whenever they dropped that offer, I looked at Creighton's cross-country team and decided that maybe running wasn't something that I need to continue doing competitively. It had already provided so many great things for me in my life, and to ask myself to live a new chapter of my life while simultaneously trying to bring things from the past into it just wasn't, it didn't appeal to me. And it came down to Creighton and Seton Hall were the 2 schools I had to choose between.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, Big East schools. Is that what you had to do, or?
Those same exact 2 schools.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane, yeah.
But Seton Hall was too expensive, so I chose Creighton.
That was pretty much the same reason I chose Creighton as well.
Oh, that's wild.
Seton Hall had actually given me a scholarship for running. They wanted me to come run cross-country for them. But the amount of money that they were giving me to run for them on top of academic scholarships couldn't parallel to what Creighton was offering. You probably
would have had RA there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I would have had the time or, the energy to do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There's no way I could play a sport, be in a fraternity, and be an RA.
Yeah.
So I think that the social experiences that Creighton has given to me are worth infinitely more than any running scholarship or speech and debate scholarship or anything that any other university could have provided.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it's the same with me. I think the opportunity that like everyone gets at Creighton, I think is probably rivals a lot of like the really really good schools.
No, absolutely. Creighton is top 40 in I think it's AP News' like ranking of all the colleges in the nation.
Yeah.
We've been top 40 for the past couple years, and Creighton's only trending upward.
Yeah.
While I don't think Creighton can compare to per se Harvard or Yale or Rice, I think that it is an amazing choice for students who are looking to get a quality education. And for those who are religious, the Jesuit part of it, only is the icing on the cake.
It's very, what was I gonna say? Attractive. It's very attractive.
I would agree.
I would say, I know because I was part of the like new student orientation, and we were like looking at the statistics, and we have like our retention of students is like one of the highest compared to they pulled up the statistics for like the average for public and private schools. We're higher than even like the private schools and public schools. Like it's crazy. We're at, I think last year, or my class, 2027, 90, I want to say like 94, 95% of us came back.
And see, I think that's really important to note. Yeah. Is that you're not just getting a quality education, you're making quality friends.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that there are some students in that, 5 to 6% that don't apply themselves, that don't, they flunk out.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably closer to maybe 1% or even less than 1% of students who leave Creighton because they think it's not for them. Yeah. I think Creighton is really good at making a home for everybody, regardless of your race, your gender, your orientation, whatever factors make you. There are people here at Creighton who will be your friend, who agree with you, who want to get to know you.
Yeah, and the other thing that has to be said, I think, is like the amount of like rigor and hard work that you have to put into it. It's not just a place that you can go and just like relax and whatever and get good grades. I think you have to put in the work.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
The other thing is that like I'm guessing some of those people probably didn't get the best grades and probably were like, I can't really do this. But we have like tutors you can go to. We have so much support for you. You can go to your counselors and whoever advisors, and they can put in those support networks for you.
I completely agree. My freshman year, first semester, by midterm, I was feeling pretty homesick. I was failing 2 of my classes. I thought I was going to flunk out of Creighton.
Yeah.
And the Success Center, my roommate and some of my friends, and my advisor, Scott Hendrickson, not to be confused with Father Hendrickson, of course. But we all sort of banded together, and my social life did a 180. My grades did a 180. And suddenly I was one of the top performers in the political science department.
That's awesome, dude.
I will say I did get some grace from some teachers who let me retake assignments or even retake parts of exams and helped me get my grades up. But I finished with all A's and B's by the end of the semester, and most of them were A's.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
The way that Creighton gives you the ability to turn around like that, there's really something to be said.
They're definitely like always looking out for you, and it's like I see the people that come out of Creighton, and it's like those people are set for life.
I would completely agree.
They have the tools to give themselves a good life.
Exactly. And even like the parts of Creighton that aren't so developed, I mean, I think there's a lot of like the arts and sciences, like the journalism. I think political science could use some work. Some of the business degrees don't have a lot of professors. Those students are still being placed up to like 96-97% of the time within 6 months. They're either in grad school or they're already employed.
Yeah.
So something to be said for almost 100% of the students, even in the departments that are weaker, are still landing high-paying jobs. Really says something about the university.
Yeah, I think that's sick though. I think that's really sick. And let me see, what else do I want? So okay, we're talking about Creighton, right? But like, looking at the city of Omaha, what kind of things do you like about that?
Omaha, in comparison to Springfield, Missouri, is very similar.
Yeah. Really?
The population is relatively similar. I think Omaha is slightly bigger. And there's a lot of rural cities around Omaha. You have Bellevue, you have Papillion, cities that have neighborhoods and have suburbs, but there are farmers in these cities. And you go even farther out west, and that's all it is farms. Springfield, it's really funny. If you're in the middle of downtown, if you walk any direction in 5 minutes, you're surrounded by buildings that make it look like it's Chicago, that make it look like it's New York City. But if you drive 15 minutes from the center of Springfield in any direction, you're going to be seeing cow pastures and barns and wheat fields. And that kind of dynamic was always really cool to me, because if I wanted to go hang out downtown and, go to some like upscale joint, I could. But also, if I wanted to spend a night, stargazing or playing paintball in the woods with my friends, there were plenty of places that were safe that we could do those kinds of things.
That's sick, though. That's sick. I think my suburbs of Chicago, it's definitely not like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you drive in like one direction for maybe 10 minutes, there is like cornfields and whatever by like Elgin. I want to say what is that area? It's like entering Elgin, but most other directions it's just more suburbs, or it's like you're gonna enter the city.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or it's just like there's some areas I would say by like where my high school is, West Chicago, that's just forests or forest preserves and stuff like that.
And that kind of stuff is beautiful too, because I think living in the city can take a toll on one's mental health pretty quickly. The allure of going out every night or eating at fancy restaurants or seeing the city skyline from your apartment are all very awesome. But, like I said, the allure of it fades very quickly.
Yeah, it definitely does.
And I think Omaha has some really great dynamics like that, where you can either go downtown and experience the nightlife in Omaha, which is great, by the way. I've never had a feeling of being unsafe downtown.
Me neither.
I'm usually with friends, of course, but I've been walking back from some of the clubs in Omaha downtown at 3 a.m, and nobody bothers us. There's people walking on the sidewalks. There's people who are homeless who are sitting around, but nobody has ever been rude. Nobody ever has been hurtful or tried to hurt us. In fact, I remember seeing a post on Instagram. One of my friends had reposted that Omaha was recently ranked the nicest city in the United States.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, Omaha's the nicest city.
That's sick.
And I think a lot of the population, including the students at Creighton, really represent that statistic.
For sure. And like, what do you call it? Omaha, University of Nebraska in Omaha. Those kids are nice too. Like, I know a few of them, and it's like, those kids are nice.
No, they absolutely are. They have a Delta Chi chapter over there too.
Oh yeah.
And they are always inviting us over, and likewise we invite them to come to our houses. It's just the band of brotherhood is really important. In Greek life, fraternities are not bound by their campuses, because everybody who's joined, regardless if you join, all the way in South Carolina or all the way, west in, at UCLA, you are brothers, even though you're thousands of miles apart. And that sort of bond isn't something that is easily broken either. So,
yeah, I think that's sick. I haven't joined a frat. I was thinking about joining one, but like I haven't. But from what I've heard, it seems like you guys are like so closely knit. And I like that. I think it's cool. It seems like an extended family.
It is. It definitely is.
Where, like, you guys have family around the country, or like, I guess, in your case, you have some in Omaha as well that you can like connect with, and I guess you guys have like parties and whatever.
Oh yeah, we throw parties a lot, and we do definitely do a lot of the things that generic frat boys do. You know, we throw parties.
Imagine,
People go to bars all the time. People do and say stupid shit.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for example, I wasn't able to make it home last Thanksgiving. And we had Delta Chi Thanksgiving for all the brothers at one of the houses. And that table was loaded with everything that you could imagine would be, we had turkey, we had mashed potatoes and stuffing and casseroles.
That's cool.
And desserts.
Yeah.
And it felt like, even though I wasn't able to sit at a table with my mom and dad, that I felt like I was sitting at a table surrounded by true brothers.
like actual family. It felt like family.
It did.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And nothing other than the fraternity has ever been able to recreate that feeling for me. So I'm eternally thankful for it.
That's sick, dude. That's sick. I think the closest thing for me was probably like my wrestling team in high school, because we were really freaking close. Like, I remember there were days. So there's this one instance that like we had a morning practice before school, and my friend brought like an electric griddle that you plug into the wall.
That's sick.
And I think after practice he plugged it in, and it was like, bro was making like eggs and like scrambled eggs and bacon, and like I think he was making pancakes.
Oh, that's awesome.
On the griddle on the ground of the locker room. And everyone's just like feasting. And then like our coach comes in, and we're like all expecting him to be pissed, but he's like, yo, can I have a piece of bacon? It's like, bro did not care at all. And it was, dude, it's stuff like that. It's like, I love those experiences where you're not expecting like the authority figure to be
so chill.
So chill, but it's also like, I guess that's his way of like bonding with us. You know?
No, absolutely. And it's those little moments. I think a lot of people expect their best memories to be like these grand, like I went to a concert, or I went and did like this crazy hike or something like that. But it really is the little moments with your friends that you remember the best.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like with that same team, we would after our meets and tournaments and whatever, we'd go out to like Beef Shack or like Golden Corral or B-Dubs. We'd love to go to B-Dubs every time. We'd always go out, and it's like, this is our squad. Like, I'm still in touch with a lot of them, and it's the same with the cross country team. We were close with them. So it's like I had two families in high school.
And that's really important. I'm really happy that you kind of had that, because not everybody gets those kinds of experiences. But the fact that you recognize it is awesome.
Yeah, I really loved it. So I want to ask, I want to get into a little bit about running, and then we can get into like the other questions to go into like deeper topics.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you kind of like describe what your running career was like in high school?
My running career was all over the place in high school.
Can you throw some like times around? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
PRs?
My junior year, my PR was 17:03. Senior year, I only ever broke like 17:30 once. Senior year, I was kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
Freshman year, my PR was a 19:09. So in 2 years to bring it down by 2 minutes was crazy. And sophomore year, I didn't see much improvement either. I think I ran my fastest as like an 18:40.
Yeah.
But that sophomore to junior year was COVID, actually, for me.
Oh, yeah.
And our track season sophomore year got cut short. And a lot of people during that off season took it as an opportunity to relax, to kind of cut back on their running. But that was when I was running my hardest.
Yeah.
I was running roughly 60, 70 miles a week, and biking like 30 to 40 miles a week. The only time I'd ever hop on the bike is if I didn't have the leg strength to run.
Good mileage.
It was. But whenever it was COVID and there was nothing else to do, my thought was, well, might as well go run. I was doing 2-a-days, not because I thought I needed to train so hard, but just because I had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
And
I remember doing doubles in high school. I'd go like before school, and then after we'd have practice, and I'd run at practice. And it was like, those days were taxing, but like the reward was so like.
And
my times definitely got cut because of that.
No, absolutely. I think that pushing your body to do 2-a-days is one of the most mentally taxing things I've ever done. Not just physically, but mentally. Yeah. I remember doing 2-a-days where I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and get in like 5 or 6 miles to shower up, get packed up, and be ready for school by 8. And in my first class of the day, I'm falling asleep.
Oh yeah, me too.
I just can't stay awake.
I remember that.
But and then after school you'd just be sore running whatever workout coach gives you. But you go home after both of those and you've got, the evening off to yourself, and you look back and you're gonna think, wow, that is going to do amazing things for me in the future. And you may not see it the next day. You're probably going to be sore. But whenever you're on the starting line of your next race and you're 2.5 miles in and you're just then getting your second wind, you're like, wow, I really appreciate the work that I put in because it's showing in my times.
Yeah. And we had a few runners that were like insane, but we had this kid Carter. He'd run so many miles every week. I think he was running like 70s.
Oh my gosh.
70s or 80s, I want to say, his senior year, and he'd do them for whatever reason. He would do them like fast. 7 flat, 6:30, I think.
Interesting.
Stuff like that. All of his runs were like super fast, and then I remember, I think it was so he was running that my junior year. Mm-hmm. And then my junior year, I didn't want to do exactly what he was doing, but I wanted to do more mileage because I felt like I wanted to be on top my senior year. And I thought that was like the best way of getting there. So junior year, I put in like so much work. And my PR eventually was like 17:40, or 17:14, my junior year. And after that, I couldn't beat it. But it's like, I put in I did all the doubles, and I think I was doing like 60-mile weeks or something, 50 or 60-mile weeks, and yeah, it's like the amount of commitment that cross-country runners have is crazy.
No, I completely agree. The funniest part about those races that I ran too was I thought for the longest time that after my class, we were 13 seniors, after we graduated, that program was going to suffer. They were going to have like 5 or 6 rebuilding years. Yeah. And now this year they've got 3 or 4 kids under 17.
Yeah.
And they're all in the 16s, something I never achieved. Yeah. And looking back, like if I were on the team right now, even in my prime, I would be like the 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And at the time I was the 1.
Crazy.
So we performed super well both junior and senior year, but just looking at the level that they're performing at now, I have to give them, I have to commend them for their level of training, because clearly they're doing something that I wasn't.
I know. It's crazy, dude. We were thinking about that like my junior year, but my senior year, but we had this kid, he's the brother of the kid I was talking about that was doing like a ton of miles. Mm-hmm. So his name's Waylon. His brother is Carter. Mm-hmm. Waylon was running he broke 16 this year.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so he's running I don't know what he's running now, but he can definitely make it to state with his time. So
oh, absolutely.
It's crazy.
And see, it's really funny too. I was making it to state with my times in the 17s because we were a 2A school. So we were racing other really small schools where their best runners, they would have one guy maybe who's sub 16, sub 17. Yeah. And then, you'd have 1 or 2 sub 16 guys instead of 20 or 30. Yeah. And with the 17, you could pretty comfortably get into state because they'd take top 25, and I would end up placing 8th or 9th, something like that. So it was really good. But looking at the level of competition now, unless the team made it to state, I don't think I'd be going.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's insane. I don't know. And then my dad will talk about how it was back then when he was in high school, and how people were running their life was running. And it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that a lot of these records that currently exist, world records and stuff, thinking on the large scale, I mean, the mile world record hasn't been broken in over 20. It's coming up on 25 years. Yeah. Hickam El Garouge in 1999 set the current 1 mile world record. Yeah. And to think that those guys back then were dedicating their lives to running, and clearly they were doing something that we aren't doing today.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why the heck did this just pop up in my head? But I remember running the fitness gram pacer test in elementary school, and that was my favorite thing ever.
Oh, it was the fitness gram pacer test was a rite of passage.
Yes. I think that's probably one of the things that got me into running.
Oh, I would definitely agree. I remember, actually, it's so funny you say that, because 5th grade was when I won in my class the fitness gram pacer test. Yeah. And of course, like, that's still an age where, you know, you're the coolest kid if you're the fastest one on the playground.
I miss those days.
Yeah, I was about to say, unfortunately, you know, women look for a little more than that now,
Yeah.
but I remember being, like, revered because, like, oh my God, James won the Fitness Gram Pacer test, and the middle school cross country coach for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade was like, how about you come out for cross country?
Yeah.
And I'd already been running, so I was like, why not?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my journey started. And it's taken me to being the vice president of the run club here. Unfortunately, I don't run as competitively as I used to, but being able to be kind of that mentor to so many people and to help them, you know, discover or rediscover their love of running really feels like I'm doing the sport justice, even if I'm not competing at the level that I used to.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely have to say that when I came to Creighton and I saw that there was a run club, you guys were so welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I loved it. It's like, I can show up to this club, and it's like, it felt like home almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it felt like the kids at home, like the runners that I knew at home. That's
Exactly. And that's what we love about too is, you know, obviously no one is required to show up. You can show up once a semester. You can show up every single time we hold a run.
Yeah.
Obviously we do it for the safety of people. Downtown Omaha isn't the safest place. Even though, you know, we were discussing it earlier that we feel safe, but
Yeah.
obviously
There's a difference.
yeah, there's a difference between being, you know, a girl running alone in
Yeah.
downtown Omaha and being in a pack of guys walking downtown, but it's a safety thing. And two, it's for the camaraderie of it. I mean, some of my greatest friends have come from Run Club. I'm really close with all of the execs. I get dinner with the president, Max, pretty much every night, or if not every night, every other night. I see Maria and Jolie, the other two executives, all the time. Jolie is in McGloin Hall, so I see her whenever I'm working the front desk, and I'm good friends with her roommates. So
Yeah. That's dope.
the way that Run Club has really helped me build like relationships at Creighton is amazing. And that would be my advice to anyone who's trying to get involved in Creighton is join as many things as possible, even if they're things that you're only mildly interested in, because at the end of the day, you never know. You might end up meeting your best friend for life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think the clubs here like set up so perfectly that like you can meet so many people with like similar interests to you, and just like you said, you can probably meet like your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because, I mean, like I said, Max and I have so much in common. I talk to him every single day. And if I had never shown up to that first Run Club meeting my freshman year, I would have never met him. So
Yeah, dude, I miss going there because I haven't been able to go this semester. The times for the practices are like, they're not the best for me, but like I get it works for other people. Like I have a class that goes 3:30 to 6:15 Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, that's rough.
You guys have club like 5:30.
30, yeah, on Tuesdays and
that's
Thursdays.
Like smack dab in the middle of my class.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry, guys. I can't.
Oh, it's okay. We always have Saturday runs. We're running at the farmers market at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and that'll be a really fun run. We love doing that one.
You said what time?
11 a.m.
11. Okay, I'll see if I can go. I was thinking about going to jiu-jitsu too, because I haven't pulled up to jiu-jitsu club either.
Yeah, I will say that's the one downside of joining so many clubs is they have to schedule it for some time, and half the time they're in conflict with other things.
Yeah,
so
I want to go at least to something Run Club at some point.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be able to make it. We miss you too, man.
It's fun. Like I'm probably way out of shape for running. I haven't ran in like. Dude, I seriously probably haven't ran since like the last race.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that is a while.
The race around like that lake. I forgot what it's called.
Zarinsky.
Yeah.
I remember that one. That was a good race. I wasn't able to make it, but I remember seeing the photos from it, and it looked like y'all had a great freaking time.
Yeah.
I will say we have the Bones 5K at the end of October, and we have
maybe I'll do that one because I did that last year and that was fun. It was just cold.
Yeah, it was. We're also doing a fundraiser for that one where if we raise enough money for Run Club, whoever donates and whoever goes, or the Bones one actually, excuse me. The Bones one is if we get enough signups, the people who sign up get to decide the costumes that the execs wear for the race.
Oh, you guys didn't do that last year.
No, we didn't, but we thought it would be something fun to encourage people to sign up for it.
That is fun.
And then we will be doing a fundraiser at some point where I think Max and I are willing to like shave our heads or like do something.
Yeah.
If we raise enough money, they can choose like our hairstyles or choose something else, like, or make us wear something stupid for runs.
Yeah, that's dope. I don't think I've ever seen you with your hat off in like a long time.
Yeah, my hair it's pretty short right now, but it's also been a mess. I haven't been able to keep it in check. So I will say I've got 2 opportunities to buzz my hair because I'm also doing Delta Chi is having a fundraiser that's a similar thing.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the 7 brothers that they can choose if they raise enough money. And some of my friends in DZ said that they're gonna donate and make me buzz my hair and bleach it. I'm gonna look like Slim Shady.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That I don't know. That's a cool look though. I feel like the buzz is like coming back.
Oh, it definitely is. I see more and more guys everywhere wearing the buzz just because it's really easy to keep like in touch. You don't have your hair going everywhere, and also I mean it's stylish on the right guy. So there's definitely something to be said about it.
Yeah, I went back. I shouldn't say I went back, but like I got dreads over the summer. I was like, that was such a random leap for me. It's like once I figured out it was possible for me to obtain dreads, I was like, okay, I need to get dreads.
No, you got to do it at least once just to say that you've done it.
Yeah.
Like,
and I want to be able to pull it off. Like I've been talking to my friends of like what different styles I should do with them, if I should dye them, like what colors I should do. And I mean it's been pretty fun, but like I'm deep in the ugly stage right now. Like, they're not looking that good.
Hey, and that's okay because once you grow them out a little more and you're able to get them under control, they're gonna look great.
That's what I'm hoping, and you'll see me in like the Bones race with
with dreads coming down.
Dreads coming down,
That'll be funny.
I think it look. I hope it'll look sick, but
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
You still got a month. You've got more than a month.
It just takes a while for them to like mature and whatever. And I gotta get them retwisted every so often. So.
Oh god, is that expensive or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Dreads are expensive to have. I've come to realize.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, it's a really cool hairstyle, but it's costly.
Yeah, like my last retwist. Well, I got a retwist and I got my hair washed, and she does like a deep scalp treatment. It was like $120.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I could never imagine spending that much on my hair.
Yeah, and it's like the time before it was a bit more expensive, but like now I'm like, oh shoot, like if this is gonna be every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think I could afford that.
I don't know. I'm just gonna hope that like I get some money this Christmas.
Oh yeah, rack up the dough from the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
I mean, I'm happy I work like all summer, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But like at the same time, it's still
it makes sense.
A good amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. So I want to get into talking about like some of the other stuff I have, the deeper questions, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you mentioned it yet or not, but I know that you're pursuing law, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So with pursuing law, we share a class that's criminal justice, and it's like crime and deviance is what the class is called, right? Yeah. So with that class, has that like changed your perspective on like deviance and crime, coming from like your law background?
Yeah, a little bit. I will say the law is a document that is very clear cut. You're either in the right or you're in the wrong. These are the exceptions. These don't have exceptions.
Yeah.
And looking at the social aspect of it and how detached it really is from the law has been eye-opening, because the law doesn't take into consideration a lot of people's social standings or how they feel about other races or other ethnicities or other genders. And understanding that disconnect has really helped me understand what type of law I want to pursue and what kind of lawyer I want to be. Because while I want to uphold, the law and make money doing it, I can't bring myself to lock people up or put people behind bars whenever their socioeconomic background basically predispositioned them to this life, and the law simply doesn't cover them.
Yeah. So wait, you want to be a prosecutor or what's the other one called?
The defendant.
Public defender.
A public defender, or yeah, you can be private as well.
Oh yeah, there's also private. Yeah.
The answer is actually neither. What I hope to do is business law, and in business law, there's no prosecutor.
Yeah.
There's a plaintiff, and biz law generally doesn't involve jail time or sentencing. It's all about the money.
Okay. Is that like white collar, or is that like paying fines, or like what?
It's both. Okay. Biz law can
civil. That's what that's what I'm searching.
It is under civil law.
Yeah.
It includes everything from white collar crime to people not paying rent to people failing to bill properly, to property disputes. All of that falls under business law.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a much better field for me. One, because I'm a double major in political science and economics, and the economic background will really help with that. But also, I feel much more comfortable pursuing somebody who didn't pay rent rather than pursuing somebody who is clearly racially profiled and is being thrown behind bars for such.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
For you, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Because, like I said, a good way to think about it is I have a lot of moral conflicts locking someone up, but hey, I'll take all their money if I need to. So
that's funny. Okay, so like with our class, I know we have like a lot of debates over like the definition of what deviance is. We're always searching for examples of deviant behavior and whatever. Why do you think it's so confusing?
I think it's because people refuse innately to call acts deviant whenever deviant consumes a lot of different ideas.
Can you elaborate?
Absolutely. A deviant is somebody who speeds. A deviant is somebody who murders somebody. And for a lot of people, to classify both those people as simply deviant doesn't make sense to them, and they feel like they're doing an injustice to either themselves or the field or the definition of the word just because it's such an encompassing term. Yeah. Deviant applies to everybody. It applies to you. It applies to me. It applies to everybody in this dorm and everybody on this campus. Your level of deviancy may vary, but everybody is a deviant. And a lot of people can't come to terms with the fact that somebody who could commit a crime so heinous compared to somebody who could commit an everyday crime are simply labeled under the same term.
Wow. Like, as a Christian, that sounds so similar to, like, the term sin. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, everybody's a sinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, the small things, like stealing or, like, something else.
Yeah.
Or I guess speeding would also be a sin, right?
Yeah.
And murder are also sins. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
how all of it is interconnected.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to think that, I mean, our law and the Constitution of the nation and all that was built on, Catholics. It was built on Christians.
Yeah.
I mean, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, all of them were Christians whenever they founded this nation. And I think a lot of the law that they use and the deviance that comes from that law can be linked back to a lot of religious ideas too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that makes sense. That actually like explains a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Because like the way that our laws are set up, like you're explaining, are from early religious laws, I guess. Right?
I would agree. I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, it's not a question of whether God exists or not, but that these early religions carried a lot of the similar laws that our nations do today because we find them immoral.
Yeah. And I think something has to be said about how because we have these laws, they've gotten us this far, and that's
exactly.
That's got to say something about Catholicism as a whole, right?
Oh, it definitely does. I am, a believer in the faith, and I think that regardless of what people say about how hateful or what pain the faith has caused people in the past, I think that it has done infinitely more good than it ever has done harm.
Yeah. And
regardless of what people say, I personally will continue to be a Catholic my entire life because it is what wakes me up in the morning. It is what gets me going, what makes me want to do the charitable acts that I do, donate to the charities that I do, because I know I do these things in the name of God. And at the end of the day, even if hypothetically, let's say God just doesn't exist and I did all these things in the name of God for nothing, I still can say that throughout my life I did these good acts and these good things for other people, even if, you know, the reason I did them, you know, doesn't end up existing.
Yeah.
I still did good things, you know.
Yeah. That's a good I guess that's a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I still have faith.
Oh, I do too.
I mean? Yeah.
And that whole little spiel there was just based completely off of the hypothetical that
that's just
God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
In fact, I will say, are you familiar?
It's better to think like that than be like a nihilist and not
and do bad things because, you know, God doesn't exist.
Nothing matters. Yeah.
Exactly. It kind of reminds me. Have you ever heard of Pascal's wager?
I have. I don't remember it though. I've heard of that phrase though.
Mm-hmm. If I am a Catholic, I will always be a Catholic because of Pascal's wager. Pascal's wager essentially says that there are 4 possible outcomes whenever we die, and they make it into a T-chart. And on one side, it is God exists and God doesn't exist. And on the other side, it is you believe in God or you don't believe in God. So if you believe in God and God exists, you achieve eternal salvation. If you believe in God and God doesn't exist, nothing happens. Everything just goes black. Now, if God exists and you don't believe in God, you're sentenced to eternal damnation. And then if you don't believe in God and God doesn't exist, nothing happens. So therefore, no matter what, it is always in your best interest to believe in God, because if he does exist, then you achieve eternal salvation. And if he doesn't exist, well, when you die, no one's going to be around to make fun of you for believing in him. So
that's true. Wow. That's deep, though. That's deep.
It is.
I didn't deep it like that. That's crazy.
So, I mean, even if Christianity somehow got debunked, I personally think I would still believe in God simply because of Pascal's wager.
Yeah. Wow. And I've seen, like, have you seen those, like, near-death experiences that people have had where, like, they've come back and they've been like, I've seen Jesus and he's, like, he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll see, like, their family members on the other side.
Exactly.
People, like, leading them. And then there's other people that have seen, like, visions of hell and stuff like that, and they're like, I need to get my life in order. There was this one specific one that I've seen where, so it was a guy was talking about it on a podcast. He had spoken to somebody that was in, I want to say like India or some other country. No, I think it was like in Africa, some country in Africa, where like I don't even think Christianity. There wasn't any Christians in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I think they were all like some other
pagan or
probably like pagan or something. But that one of them had like a near-death experience and saw Jesus, and it's like they had no way.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way that they knew who Jesus was.
Exactly, but the fact that they were able to see him in his glory really says something to the faith, and those kinds of experiences are not common anymore.
And it's like, so that person, sorry
no, you're
to
good.
cut you off.
You're
like,
okay.
That person that saw him went on from, I don't know if they like left their town or whatever, but they went on to like pursue, to number one, find out this Jesus that he saw, to find out who he is, what he did, and all of that, and like study him. But he became like a devout Christian because of it, even though they came from this background that they literally could have had no idea.
Yeah, and that kind of experience is powerful. I think a lot of people, because they don't personally have those kinds of experiences, think that, well, if it didn't happen to me, then it must not be true.
Yeah.
But no, those kinds of stories are absolutely why I believe in the faith.
Yeah, me too. And I think you just said exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. But, like, yeah, I was going to say, those are, like, one of the key stories of, like, near-death experiences and faith are, like, the key reasons that I have faith.
Mm-hmm.
On top of, like, a few other things similar.
Yeah, absolutely. because I do believe in the Catechism of the Church. I believe in the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm not a literalist when it comes to the Bible. And honestly, I think that people who are literalists are slightly misguided.
Yeah.
Just because when you read the Bible literally, you ignore the context and the history of when the books were written and why they were doing the things they were doing, and why eating this certain meal on this certain day, or wearing your clothing a certain way, or doing certain rituals on certain days was important, because you lack the historical and cultural context as to those things.
I think I still lean a little bit literalist, because I do think like there's a reason that it's written that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
But,
absolutely.
like,
There's something to be said for
I
it.
do think that there are some things that are like there's some deeper message that you should be taken from it. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you're on the right track too with what you mean. The way I interpret it is that there are a lot of things written like historically that we shouldn't literally be doing.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's a deeper meaning there that has yet to be discovered that we ought to follow.
I definitely agree with that. How do we go from there to there? Dude, this happens every podcast, I swear. It's like, I'll ask you a question, and then we go on like a super long tangent that I enjoy, but it's like, how did we get there?
Yeah, how point A to point B is not making sense right now.
Okay, so I got a few interesting questions I got.
I've got you.
One of them is, have you heard of like those drugs that they're talking about for like prisoners, where they'll take like a pill or whatever, and as part of their sentence they'll have to take this pill, and they'll experience like 10 years or like 100 years, but it's like
only a minute or something like that.
Yeah, and it's only like a minute. Yeah,
I have seen those, and I'm really interested to see how they work. As somebody who comes from a lawyer background, the biggest red flag that it raises for me is cruel and unusual punishment. Because if the brain believes that it's been alive for 10 years or 100 years, how do we know that the brain is not going to deteriorate to a state that it would be in 10 years or 100 years, while the body is as healthy as can be? It's as healthy as when they took the pill. It's only been a minute. But the psychological and mental implications of it, I think, have yet to be discovered. And at the moment, it just sounds like a very unusual form of punishment that I don't know, without further testing, should be implemented.
Okay. I have a question that I just came up with right now. But like, and I don't know if it's like an outrageous take or something, but like, when I think about like people that have committed like heinous crimes, and it's clearly them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's clearly them who committed it. People like pedophiles or like school shooters.
The worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst, right? So can you picture, do you think that giving them a pill like that for like 100 years or whatever is a good idea? Giving them like several of them, stuff like that?
So actually, you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this. I think the answer is no.
Really?
Because I'm a firm believer in the concept of rehabilitation and, being brought back into society. Yeah. And if you take a pill that only, in real time lasts a minute, but it makes you feel like you were in there for 10 years, 100 years, you're locked away for that time. You're not getting the help you need. You're not going to rehabilitation. You aren't talking to people, presumably, because the way I picture it in my head is you're just in a void. Yeah. Of course, maybe I don't know that for a fact, but those kinds of pills that exist, I think, remove the right to rehabilitation for these prisoners. And I think it comes down to a case of, well, if you don't give them that second chance, you're essentially removing any ability of them to return to society.
Yeah. I'm just wondering because, like, I know that this is why I said it was, like, an outrageous take.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's people out there that don't deserve a second chance. People,
I would agree.
I would think, like, the best example I can think of off the top of my head would be, like, people like John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd say Dahmer towards like the end of his life, I think he was a little more tame, you know what I mean? But like, still somebody that probably shouldn't have a second chance, you know what I mean?
I would agree.
Especially when thinking about the lives of the families that like he just completely ruined.
Destroyed, yeah.
Yeah, he destroyed. So that's why I was kind of like wondering that but like I I don't think that like death sentence is what they need. I think they need something, because death is letting them off easy. I guess you would say. But.
Yeah. I was about to say, I am not opposed, and actually I don't know if you saw, South Carolina recently passed, about a year ago, they brought back the firing squad.
Oh, really?
Yep. And, personally, whenever I look at these death row inmates and some of the horrendous crimes that they've committed, such as John Wayne Gacy, Dahmer, other serial killers, I don't think lethal injection is what they needed. I think they needed a bullet and both kneecaps into the head, but make them suffer before they die. Those kinds of people deserve that. But to lock them away in their own brains for 100 years, for 1,000 years, to me really does feel like cruel and unusual punishment, to the point that their victims would have never suffered like that. And no matter how evil a person is, I think being locked away in your head for 1,000 years
that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that. What was I gonna say? Oh shoot. What were you gonna? I think I cut you off.
No, you're okay. It's okay. I was just gonna say, like, to suffer in your own head for 1,000 years. I mean, imagine this room, but it's just black. There's no lights. The sun doesn't come up. There's no doors, and you're stuck here. I mean, naked, cold, alone for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, every grueling day goes by, because I'm only 20 years old. I'll be 21 in October. But to think that if I were to take that pill in my head, I would have only been 21 years into my 1,000-year sentence, and I'd still have 979 to go.
Oh, okay. So I remember what I was gonna say, but yeah, that's a pretty good point. I had seen like a few TikToks. There's this guy that was like, I guess he was incarcerated. Like, he was in prison for a while, and he got out, and now he just like he goes on Instagram or on TikTok and tells people like what happens to sex offenders in prison, what happens to pedophiles in prison, what happens to school shooters, and he'll like tell you what he's seen. And he has contacts of people in prison and like that are with certain people. I guess like the best example is he was telling TikTok about what was going on with have you heard of like the Wade Wilson guy?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so that guy, he's another person that like killed several people. Evil guy. And so the guy on TikTok would tell you like, even the guards don't like these people.
Oh, absolutely.
Even the guards will set them up to get killed in prison. And even if they don't have a life sentence, or even if they don't even have like a death sentence, they'll set them up so that like a prisoner would just be in their cell at just the right time
to shank them or something. Yeah,
to just set them up for that. Yeah.
And legally I can't condone any of that behavior. Yeah. But I think there is something to be said for prisoners taking the law into their own hands. The fact that a prisoner who committed, let's say, murder, let's say they robbed a gas station and murdered the clerk, is able to delineate their own crime from the crimes of other people and understand that what they did was wrong, but it wasn't as wrong as what these other people do. Yeah. And the fact that they're able to reconcile that within themselves and deliver justice themselves. Yeah. There's something to be said for that.
I can appreciate it. It's like I don't condone any of that, but it's like it's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. And
like it almost this is another crazy take, but like it almost like makes me feel good to know that there's people in prison that are like, those people that committed the worst crimes aren't at like the top. They're not like the big bosses. Yeah. They're actually at the bottom, and people actually like hate them.
Exactly.
They hate them so much that they're willing to deliver justice in their own way. And I don't know how people think about that.
Oh, I think it's purposefully justifiable, because and put yourself in the mind of like the guards who have to keep that in check. The guards aren't actively committing an action of murder. It's the inaction.
Yeah.
And that gets into some sort of like philosophical arguments and some ethical arguments. Is that, you know,
definitely
does the action of killing someone is immoral? Is the inaction of killing someone immoral?
Yeah.
And, you know, let's say 30 prisoners jump this one guy and kill him. What are 2 prison guards going to do about that?
Yeah, they really can't. I mean, they really can't.
Exactly. And the fact that they're incapable of stopping it from happening, sure, they can break it up, but by the time they do so, the guy's already going to be gone.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, the prisons are not lacking in morality or nobility or anything that people think they are.
Yeah.
People all too often forget that the prisoner who robbed a bank or robbed a gas station and got sentenced to 10 years is still a person.
Yeah.
Still has a beating heart, still has a family, probably has kids. And that crime should not compare to those who murder and kill innocent children or sexually violate children.
And it's like we were talking about at the beginning, how the term deviant is so vast.
Exactly, because in a sociological world, the person who robs a gas station is just as deviant as the pedophile.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, including myself, that's very hard to reconcile internally.
I definitely agree. So, last question I wanted to ask, what do you think about the whole P. Diddy situation with him getting caught, arrested? And I recently heard that he's been put on, like, suicide watch.
Diddy is something else. I'll tell you that much. P. Diddy is definitely guilty of his crimes, in my opinion. In fact, whenever I saw that he got arrested, I was surprised because I thought he was already in jail.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I did not know P. Diddy was a free man. I thought he was behind bars.
Yeah.
And then him getting arrested was like whenever the FBI served the warrant on his house and he was arrested. I give kudos to everybody who was involved in that, just because, you know, doing it the right way and not letting him get any outs is really important. Finding 1,000 bottles of oil was baby oil was interesting.
Alarming.
Yeah.
For his freak offs.
Exactly. The P. Diddy freak party. God damn it, dude. TikTok has ruined my brain, but
it definitely has.
No, then it's so funny. There's so many memes about it too, and it's horrible because like we've now entered a culture where like pedophiles are memes. Yeah. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein gets memed all the time, and I mean, how many times have you seen AI videos of Jeffrey Epstein in Fortnite? You know, double pumping a 14-year-old or something like that.
It's really bad.
It's humorous, but at the same time, it's making light of a situation that is
you probably shouldn't make light of.
So much worse.
Yeah.
And this is putting on my spinfoil hat if you want to join me for a moment, but I wonder if P. Diddy isn't actually suicidal. I wonder, because remember that Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch. Yeah.
Well, there's also the thing that like everybody knows that Diddy was involved with all of that, so it's like he already knows his reputation is like in the garbage now.
Oh yeah.
So like if he wants to like commit suicide, it's like I kind of get it.
Did you actually hear that Kesha re-released the song TikTok to change the beginning to say "Wake up in the morning saying fuck P. Diddy"?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she changed the beginning of it.
What?
Yep.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, you got to give it a listen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she re-released the song, changing the lyrics because I don't think anyone wants to wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy anymore.
Hell no, dude. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, she changed the lyrics.
Yeah.
Which, good on her for that, because, I mean, really, fuck P. Diddy. But, and then all the things going on with, like, people trying to defend him, I think is disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm very much appreciative of innocent until proven guilty, and I think the same should go for Diddy. I think he should be innocent until proven guilty. The problem is that he is very much going to be proven guilty.
There's plenty of evidence that he's guilty.
Yeah.
Have you seen those like clips? I know I've talked about this on my podcast before, but those clips with him and freaking Justin Bieber and whatever.
Yeah.
There's
Oh my
also,
God, they're so dumb.
Yeah, there's also that clip of him on like Nickelodeon or whatever.
Yeah, and to think that like he was around those kids, like
Oh
a lot of the child actors that are now grown up now, but he was around them whenever they were like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And just to think like what he could have done is just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot, actually. Some of the child actors that I grew up watching that I wanted to be like, and how much they were violated, and how much, like Dan Schneider and other like Nickelodeon people, like how much stress he put them through. And then you throw P. Diddy on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine what that'd be like.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if like other people, like if there were other like pedo rings.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because honestly, I think we're scratching the surface here.
Yeah. I think that like with this year, there's so many pedophiles that have been exposed.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Dr. Disrespect, Ava Chris Tyson, to name a few big ones. Dream in the very beginning of the year. And then we lost 2 Mad in February.
Yeah.
To overdose playing Overwatch is...
It's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And then like a few years ago, you had EDP, and then you had several other people.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Now it's like the big one right now, even though they weren't famous before, was Smart Schoolboy 9.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of him?
I'm familiar, yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, have you seen the documentary?
I haven't seen the documentary on it, no.
It's freaking horrible, dude. Like, you gotta watch it. It's so like... Oh, that's somebody that's somebody that needs to be like for sure in jail, and they need like...
Someone's got to do something.
Something needs to happen to that guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to condone any sort of violence, but if something happened, I don't think I'd be upset.
Oh yeah, for sure. He would like take videos of kid, or I don't know. He would. You just gotta watch the documentary, bro.
Okay.
Like, I don't.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe it's not best to explain. Maybe it's just to experience raw.
I don't want to push the boundaries of YouTube, like verbally saying it when you could like
look it up.
Yeah, because the person in the documentary is very like careful of how he says things and like whatever. You know.
Yeah, it makes it more stomachable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the imagery is pretty scary. That's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that after this. I definitely will.
Dude. I could probably send you the link. It's like, it's that kind of, it's people like that I just hate, dude. I don't hate many people, and I don't feel violent, like, ever, with the exception of, like, at MMA club and when I'm training to fight. But, like, I would never provoke a fight. I would never do anything like that. But people like him, people like Smart Schoolboy 9, people that are like straight up pedophiles and shit like that, I don't know if I could compose myself if I'm around them. I might. Oh no, I might get crazy.
I would lose my shit.
I just think about how I would just freaking go insane, berserk. Like.
No, absolutely. I would think I would honestly do the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how. I don't know. It's whatever. It's
definitely a mental thing, but I'm right there in that same boat with you. If I came across somebody who was a known pedophile, I think it would be very hard to stop myself from punching them in the face.
Utmost respect to like those people that are like pedophile catchers and like don't explode like.
Yeah, I think they know.
Those videos have been going viral now though, like of pedophile catchers catching a pedophile and being like, I'm going to smack you. I'll take the assault charge, but I won't turn you in just because I want to smack the heck out of you.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'll take you can, okay, I think what they do is they'll say like, I'll smack you, but like, if you go to the cops and say like, I was roughing you up, then I'll tell them that you're a pedophile.
Yeah, it's mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, mutually assured destruction. It's crazy, dude. It's like, I don't know how I feel about it. Because, like, I don't know how they're able to, like, how some of those people in those videos, in the other videos, are able to control themselves. Like,
and I commend them for that because I absolutely wouldn't be able to.
You know, what's his name? Vitali?
Yeah.
Vitali?
Yeah.
His videos are, like, I think his are like similar, but like not as violent, I guess.
No, I would definitely agree. I think he does a really good job of like being efficient.
Yeah.
With going after people, so.
Yeah. And he also makes those type of videos popular, which also like shows, it brings more awareness to the topic of how prevalent like pedophiles are.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I think that a lot of them fly under the radar because that's exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
And pedophilia is obviously a very, like, there are a lot of victims in that crime, but you hear all the time about murders and stuff and committing, sexual assault and, sexual offenses against people is much less visible than if they're dead. And I think it's so hard to tell sometimes because people don't want to talk about it. It's a very taboo subject.
Yeah.
And people, whenever they're violated, feel like they can't talk to anybody. And with that being said, like, a lot of them get away with it, which is tragic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just the cruel truth of, what the world is.
Yeah. So I want to wrap up this podcast with just any advice you have for the people listening. I know we gotta end it up with like a really negative note.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I just want to end it with whatever advice you have for people listening, whether it's life or whatever you got.
Yeah, absolutely. To anybody listening, I just advise you to keep your head up. There's a lot of really, really bad things going on in the world right now. I'm sure, you've listened through this. We've discussed a lot of them. But look inward toward the good in your life. If you look hard enough, you'll find it. It took me a long time to find a lot of good in my life, but now I think I'm the happiest that I've ever been. Continue to strive toward your goals. If you don't have goals, set them and make sure that you can achieve them as well. Once you've done all those things, it's all about finding your rhythm, finding the people who support you, and cutting out the ones who don't. If you can do all that and do it being happy, then you've set yourself on the road to success.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I definitely agree, because I do think like we do live in like a world that's getting darker and darker. But like we were talking about at the beginning, with how there's comedians out there just trying to look for the light in the dark, and they're trying to get people to laugh. They're trying to make the best out of it, People like Queso, people like Shane Gillis, people like Coco Diaz, they're really out there, and they're really making people laugh. They're really like making the most out of it. So I think people listening, you really just gotta
you gotta brighten up, man.
Yeah, you just gotta brighten up.
You gotta instead of looking for the light, be the light. I mean,
facts.
It's as it comes from a Christian parable, but be the light on top of the hill. Don't put your light where no one can see it.
Yeah.
Don't only look up to other people. Make sure people can look up to you, and with that kind of dynamic, you'll go far in life.
Yeah. And with that, I want to thank you for getting on. I want to do a quick summary of what we went over.
Okay.
So we're talking about like how you were RAing this semester, what you liked about it, and all that. And then we're talking about your childhood, what you like to do in your childhood. We were talking about high school, how you were doing running, debating, and track and field. And then you also and then moving out of that, we were talking about like why you chose Creighton over Seton Hall, and the other schools. And then we were talking about like what you like about Creighton, and then what you like about Omaha. And then I think we started getting into like talking about running and like run club, and then kind of like how social run club is, and like the different clubs we're in, whatever. And then I think from there we went into talking about like deviance and like how it's so hard to define. And then we were talking about like the pill.
Yeah.
The whole pill that it feels like 1,000 years or 100 years, 10 years or whatever. And from there we went into talking about like what were we talking about? We were talking about like how different punishments.
Different like punishment outside of what the law prescribes.
Yeah. Cruel and unusual. And then we're talking about at the end we wrapped it up with like DIDDY and like different like similar people.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we cover like a lot of interesting topics.
I think we did too.
I can for sure get some clips out of it. People will definitely be entertained with some of our conversations that were more entertaining, and then be informed about other things that we talked about. So and then on top of all of that, I think the advice that you gave is definitely going to help a lot of people. So I want to thank you for getting on today.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Goal Swole Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like. And if you plan on listening to any future episodes, make sure to subscribe and click that notification button.